A lot of people wonder in the comments, I hear it all the time, how do you sail? How much money does it cost? Did your parents buy you that boat? No, parents didn't buy us the boat. I was a cage fighter, no money. We did some bartending, some waitress stuff. We did all right, but we saved a little bit of cheddar. But how we got into the Caribbean, deep into the Caribbean, a couple thousand miles, so cheap, I'd say we probably have about 8 grand into this operation overall, is we did it super ghetto. Very non-traditional things that I just went completely outside of the box and said, how many major systems can I make work for like the absolute lowest, cheapest price, bottom of the bottom, dollar for dollar? How much bang can I get for my buck? And this is how I did it.
It's some kind of devotion.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Sailing GBU.
This episode, we're gonna give you a tour of our boat, some of the little intricacies that made life possible in the Caribbean here for us. Obviously, we didn't really set like a lot of money to the side. We went with the keep the money in the bank, don't blow the whole wad, don't blow the whole dream on just a boat, just something that's going out to having fun, because you might hate it. We always had that in our back pocket. We might hate this. Why spend 5 years and $200,000 to live this dream when really you just throw up sometimes and it's really not that great. But so this is how we did it for like under 10 grand for sure. Some things I think worked out really well for the money, and some things that were just horrible that I would never do again, or I would have a major different way to do it that I think would have just done us a lot better in the long run.
We just want to open up our boat, show you some of the crazy things we did that most people would probably either deny or hide.
And we should.
We're opening our
keep it a
embarrassing case open, but you know what? As embarrassing as it is, we made it to Puerto Rico on a very small budget.
Yeah, I mean, we got to keep it real. That's the thing is it's ugly, some of it, good, bad, and ugly. Some of this was good, some was bad, and some was straight up ugly. But we have made it quite far on some of these things, unheard of things, scary things. I know I'm gonna get cussed out in the comments. Y'all are gonna be like, you're risking the whole
disclaimer,
rig.
this isn't a how-to. This is showing into our lives and maybe motivating some people to not make everything perfect and realize that you can still get out there when everything's not perfect.
Yeah, we didn't listen to the sailor Tads. We didn't listen to the Tads, Thaddeus's, Todd's, Sailor Todd's, whatever. But we didn't listen to them. We said, you know what? Chuck the Sperry's over the side, untie that blue and white sweater from around your neck, throw the captain's hat overboard. We're gonna hit this, and you know, we're gonna go get some miles under this keel. All right, so I'll start this off with my most embarrassing, probably the most dangerous, maybe not most embarrassing, my floor was probably the most embarrassing. But this is probably the most dangerous because, as you can see here, we have some steel rigging. Standing rigging is very important on a sailboat. When I had gotten this boat, a lot of the stays were blown. That's how I got it so cheap. And I decided to replace these. Would have cost me a couple $1,000s. This wire is very, very expensive. And to redo this boat completely would be about 5 grand with the stuff that it has now. So I said, no, I'm not gonna do that.
No.
I'm gonna replace a couple of stays here for under $100. I replaced 3 of the stays, and what I did was just with regular galvanized wire. I went up 1 gauge to compensate for the strength, but what I didn't do was seal it in any sort of way. And even though they have performed just fine, they have rusted out. Now that I'm 3.5 years into having them, I'm sure that they would only last about 2 more years max, and they do leak rust and they leak all over the deck. So what I did, I just got some wire rope clamps, and I clamped it up, and then I just used my turnbuckles to tighten it, and it worked out really well, but it's hideous. Come check it out. Old Ugly Jones, old and rusted out. If I were to redo it, even with these materials, it's stainless, it would still be a fraction of the cost. That's probably what I would do if I had to redo the entire rigging. Could probably do it for about 500, but I would have to reuse these old turnbuckles and things like that. But just to get the wire in these and stainless would be $500 roughly for this boat. If I had to redo it again, I probably wouldn't have done it this way, but I definitely wouldn't have sprung for this. That just cost way too much.
The next thing we want to show you is our flooring. When we first bought the boat, it had no floor at all. It was just fiberglass. So we had to clean that up, and it was just white and ugly, and I was like, no, this ain't happening for us. So we Google searched flooring for the boat, and if you've ever done that before, you know it's probably going to show you something like teak and holly, which is cool, looks good, but way out of our price range. There's a few other options, but still out of our price range. So Matt came up with this crazy idea to buy a 1/4-inch plywood. And he said, I'm going to stain it to whatever color you want it. So we chose what color. And then he put car pinstripe tape on it. And then we varnished it up. And it worked. And it looked awesome. When we first got it, I was shocked. I was like, this is our floor. But we could have varnished it a little more. After going to the Bahamas, we got more water in our boat than we thought we would, and the floor slowly deteriorated. It lasted pretty much a year, and then different parts started going down south. But we do think if we would have varnished it and spent a little more time putting on the layers, it would have worked out pretty well. So I give this one 5 stars, you know? It worked for a while, and if we did, I would feel like we could do it again and just varnish it more. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, it looked beautiful. You need some tools, but yeah, I mean, you'd have to seal it in. I would maybe even go as far as to like seal it in with some sort of fiberglass sealant, or just do like an every 6 months treatment on it. It would do a lot better.
Yeah, so that saved us a lot of money and felt good for a year.
All right, so another thing about chasing the dream, I think, is you have to chase it fearlessly. And I know in sailing, one of the big sayings is don't set a schedule, because you kind of have to play the weather and things like that. And we went against every grain of every way that we heard about sailing. I know it's kind of a theme. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but we went against all of it. We set our deadline for January 1st, 2018. We said, we're out of here. We're leaving on our adventure at this day, no matter what happens. So my diesel wasn't running. I couldn't get it running. I had a diesel mechanic come work on it. I couldn't get it to work. He sucked. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to buy my little outboard, and I'm going to build a transom on the back of my boat and put the 9.9 horse on it and put it on down the river. And then I'll just work on the diesel at Anchorage. And then eventually I did get the old diesel running. Diesel Dan. Props to me.
After a year of not moving our boat, we're finally going somewhere.
And I feel like we're both like pissing our pants, because as you can probably see, we're on a millionaire row of boats, and you never know. I did all the engine work, so I guess you're gonna trust my craft and just suck it up. But we said no, we're leaving. Even if I have to make a wooden transom or motor bracket on the back, and I just used a 2x12, bolted it on there, put the motor on, and it pushed us up the river just fine. So that's
and later you made it a step.
Yeah, later
thing.
I made a back porch. This is my back porch now. And that's something that I probably wouldn't have done again either. The better fix to that would have been to just hip tow with the dinghy. Put it on the dinghy, tie it to the side, and hip tow it. That works a little bit better. Or even pushing it with the dinghy and just having someone steer. That would have been better than building this on permanently. And I didn't do a great job. I didn't think about waves and wake. So when this would pitch, it would actually dunk the boat underwater. So something to think about if you're considering.
Yeah, so that was a bad idea overall, but it got us going.
Bad idea, but it got us. It's that first step. You know, if you sit and you wait. I've known so many people, like, and people have made fun of me for this to my face. I'm not that worried about it. Obviously, it got me going. It was the first step of my dream, so I'm not that embarrassed about it. But like, I've seen so many people criticize like things like that, but they're still sitting on a mooring ball wherever they started 4 years ago, and here I am a couple thousand miles away, and I still got my transom Tina with me here. So it's you know, you can look kind of stupid and things, you can make mistakes, but I don't think that's as bad as just straight up sitting still, trying to make your boat perfect, trying to save hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, if that's your bag, do you. But if you're not afraid and you got an adventurer's heart, you know, nail some wood to the back of your boat and take off with your outboard motor.
No, don't do that.
All right, guys. A lot of electrics on a boat can be really expensive, very confusing, a daunting task if you're doing a whole bit refit, but there are ways to save some money, so let me shed some light on it.
You're a loser.
Dad jokes, I got them. Anyway, so if you go to like Home Depot or any, so don't mind the cobwebs, that's just some reality right there. But they have these lights that like for lawns, low voltage lighting for like steps and things like that, and they work pretty well. They're really cheap. These were like 10 bucks. They run off the 12 volt, so you can buy them. You don't have to go to like a West Marine where they're gonna probably get this exact same light, powder coated white, and charge you like $75 for that. We've had these lights for like 3 years. None have ever burned out. They're really low voltage, so we run one battery in this boat for the house. and we never have problems. Our lights are always running, pumps are always running, things like that. So for the lightings, for the electrics, we did that pretty cheaply on that. And for the other one too, now this is one where I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat. So don't be mad at me. Don't hate the player, hate the game. All right, so disclaimer. I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this one. A lot of people are sold on marine grade electrical wire. Personally, that stuff's like a couple bucks a foot in some cases, and I was like, can't afford it. For below like the water line, I did use marine grade. For like the bilge pump and things like that, I use the marine grade. A little bit thicker, what's that called? What's the stuff called that goes around the wire? Whatever it's called. Packing, insulation. A little thicker wire insulation, things like that. So I did use that below, but for the running the lights, running the fans, running lights, mast lights, or anything like that, speakers, anything else that I needed to run, I wasn't interested in paying dollars per foot for that wiring. So the stuff you get at Home Depot, just a regular lamp wire, I don't know, it's like a quarter a foot or something in some spots. So you can get that cheap. I got that stuff, and I just wired it to all my fans. You know, did all the connectors, did all the insulating properly, and have never had a problem, no burn downs, and everything's worked out just fine. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna go through is...
Can we just look at how flat that couch is and how much we need to upgrade it?
Don't worry about the couches. Okay, anyway. So, onward and upwards, I guess, or downwards to plumbing. Plumbing on a boat is a very important thing. Another same thing. We went to the West Marines, started looking at the hoses, and I was just like, good Lord, these hoses are expensive. And you're talking about hundreds of feet of this nonsense. So I said, you know what? Let me think of a cheaper solution here that I know will work on a low pressure system. So I'm going to show you my plumbing setups now. But first I got to go through Cooley's cousin, Couchy, to get to it. Hey, what's up, y'all?
Get out
Go
of here,
look at the plumbing. Just
Why
kidding.
does he have the same voice as Cooley?
They're a family. All right. Sorry, Couchy. I had to pull his mouth
If
open.
you don't know what he's talking about, I'll link it, the video above here.
This is our plumbing section. The tanks were really old when we first got it, so I decided to rip a tank out, and I got one of these inflatable, or not inflatable, soft water bladder deals. So check this out. It was relatively cheap, $100 or something like that, holds 45 gallons, but it was really hard for me to get the seals to work the way that the hoses go in and screw in. I think this is meant to be put in a spot that doesn't really move. Our water tanks on the side, so when we're healing, this thing kind of would leak a good bit. So obviously you don't want 45 gallons of water in your bilge. So that's what I did there, and I wouldn't do that again. I'd do a hard tank if I had to do all that over again. But the way that I really saved the money with this was I used funny pipe for like a sprinkler system. You can get a whole roll of this at Home Depot or any like home improvement store. 100-foot roll for like 20 bucks or something like that. It was really, really inexpensive. And the fittings are a little more expensive, but still cheaper than anything you're going to get at West Marine or a boat store. I did this, and it's worked really, really well. The fittings snap in together really, really well. They come in big packs, so if you ever have to make repairs or move something, it's really easy to do. And I did my whole plumbing system for this entire boat, I would say $80 to $100. And we've never had leaks, never had any problems like that, and it's worked really, really well. That was one thing that I definitely wouldn't go back on. If I bought a brand new boat, if Atremer gave me a catamaran tomorrow and they said, we got the whole thing laid out for you, but we just need plumbing done, I would put this plumbing in $1 million yacht because it's awesome. I stand by this plumbing.
Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. We just hope that maybe we can motivate at least one person to maybe try something that's out of the box to help their journey keep going, or know that you don't always have to go by all the rules that Todd, the sailor man, tells you.
Yeah, I think
right?
we learned in life rules was made to be broken. Don't follow all the rules.
But this is not a how-to also. Disclaimer again. I know I have to keep doing a lot of disclaimers, but I know they're coming, the comments.
Yeah, disclaimer.
So this is not a how-to. This is just help to motivate you.
It's not a how-to, but it actually is a how-to save a shitload of money and get to sail all around the Caribbean. But no, it's hopefully this helps somebody out. If you're dealing with some of these problems and you do have that daunting $5,000 to $10,000 refit budget ahead of you and you're just like, man, I don't have the money. How many you know, dishes do I gotta wash, or tables do I gotta scrub before I can finally set off into the
Or
wild blue.
lawns to cut.
So, you know, if this helps somebody out, if this is maybe some things that perhaps nobody's thought of yet, or perhaps shouldn't have thought of for a good reason.
Or maybe help someone say, I can start this journey also, and I don't have to think I need to save $100,000 to do it.
Basically, I'm like a motivational speaker. I'm like the Nutty Professor. I'm saying, yes, I can. I want to hear you say it out there in the GB universe. Say it. Say it. Yes, I can.
You're not cool.
No?
Anyways, guys, make sure you like this video. Give us a share. Share it with some people. Take some motivation in.
Yeah, and if you think you can't like this video, just remember, yes, I can.